Okay. Taking a few deep breaths. And just using the touch to awaken the body. Placing the palms of the hands anywhere on the body and feeling the tissue, feeling the physicality. Feeling the outer form of the body and the space outside of the body and the space inside of the body. Feeling how the space outside of the body is enveloping us. And how, as we breathe, this outside space is becoming the inside space, and as we breathe out, the inside space is pouring in into the outside space. Whether you are moving or standing still, just feel how by initiating any kind of movement, we are kind of penetrating this outside space. Trying to feel this feeling that the outside space is supporting us, enveloping us, and keeping us in the position that we are. And try feeling how the outside space or the space around us can move our body, as if the space is spreading and directing our body into different positions. So taking a minute or two to just explore these two different ways of movement. One movement arising from the inside and our body piercing through the space, flowing into the space, through the space. And the other one when the feeling is that the outside space is directing and moving the body. And also feel how the weight of our body is pouring downwards, like a waterfall or sand that's flowing downwards towards the earth. The weight pouring through our bones, into the earth and the space around us, enveloping us and holding us gently with a gentle touch. And how this support of the space allows the weight to release into the earth. Weight pouring through the bones, through the skull, clavicle bone, into the sternum, into the ribs, into the spine, sacrum, pelvis, thigh bone, fibula and tibia, and the bones of the feet. And also scapula, into the bones of the hands and many bones of the fingers. and also becoming aware of the joints between the bones. You can try feeling the skeleton as a one continuous unit without the joints. And then just awakening these spaces between the bones where the bones are in contact. Inviting the fluid inside of these spaces so that these bones, these levers can move in spiralic ways. And embryologically, bones being a continuous unit of mesoderm, and then spaces opening up, differentiating. Inviting our fingers maybe to move a little bit, becoming aware of the central axis of the skeleton and the periphery of the limbs. And I would like us to invite a little movement of the hands, of these bones of the hands, guiding and initiating, like little tentacles touching the space. Becoming aware of the first three fingers, the thumb, the index finger, and the middle finger. And initiating movement with these three fingers. Reaching into the space with the first three fingers. As if we have a claw. And every now and then again taking a time to just release the weight through the bones in the ground when we go too high. And keep the feeling of the space enveloping us and holding us. In the hands, gently exploring. Now invite the last two fingers, the pinky and the ring finger, and notice how the last two fingers are connected to this bone, which ends up as the top of our elbow. This little hill at the end. And how does the movement feel when we initiate with the last two fingers slicing the air? And then bringing in all fingers, finding the balance between the first three as a claw and the last two as a blade. Feeling how these bones extend all the way to the scapula, our wings. And then scapula turning around to the front into clavicle and into the sternum, and then from the sternum connecting to the ribs, connecting to the spine through the ribs. So, in our consciousness, just enlivening this pathway through the fingers, upper arm, lower arm, scapula, clavicle, sternum, ribs, and connecting to the central axis of the spine. Moving through space or standing still, again, releasing the weight, feeling the support of the space around us and the ground beneath us. Feeling the density of the ground beneath us and the spaciousness, airiness of the space around us. Feeling our feet in connection to the earth. The bones of the feet and all these little joints in the feet, inviting some fluidity in these joints, experimenting how our feet kiss the ground, how they communicate with the ground in many possibilities due to a lot of joints between these little bones. And again, same as with the hands, feeling the difference between the first three fingers or the first three toes, going into the ankle, and going into the tibia, the large bone as the central pillar of the leg. And especially if you're standing still, enlivening the consciousness and the cells of tibia. See what it does for our upright standing. Like a central pillar of the leg and the whole body. And the last two toes, the pinky toe and the one next to it, going into the heel, going into the fibula on the sides of the legs, and into the knee, and then into the thigh bone, and the two sides of the pelvis. Feeling these beautiful pelvis bones connected in the front, where there's a disc in between the two bones, the two pelvic halves, and connecting in the back with the spine, with the central axis. Again, releasing the weight through all the chain of the bones, down the central column, into the pelvis, connecting in the front, and through the hip and the thigh bones into the feet and into the earth. Noticing this beautiful symmetry of many individual bones in the hands and the feet, connecting with the two bones of the upper arm and the lower leg, connecting with the one stronger bone at the top of the arm and top of the leg, and then connecting through the to the central axis through the scapula and the pelvic bones. And as we are channeling our weight through the bones into the earth, allow everything in the skeleton to soften, to get a little bit more space, more juice. The weight is transmitted through the bones, and the contents of the skeleton can let go and melt a little bit. The contents of the skull, the content of the thoracic cavity, of the abdomen, of the pelvis. The space around us, holding us and moving us, cuddling us, and the space inside of us softening and yielding a little bit more. Becoming aware of the breath once again, the breath that is widening the space beside us, and also cooling it down and cleaning it, and how we can travel with the breath through all the places inside us. And how we can wiggle and jiggle the contents of our skeleton as these fluid contents are with its weight, they are bouncing, bouncing in communication with the ground and communication with the gravity, and finding that rebound, that even when we release the weight, we are not collapsing. We find the rebound up. Again, opening our eyes, paying attention to the space around us, and the difference when we are observing space from the central axis or when we are moving through space. But allowing the space to enter us. And slowly ending the exploration and taking some time for a transition to remain with the feeling or to express in any way by writing, drawing, and coming back for sharing.